Hi, I'm Ross Purnell, editor of Fly Fisherman magazine. Next up on the ICAST New Fishing Gear Guide, we're going to talk to Chris Walker of RIO Products about the new SlickCast fly line. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Ross. It's good to be with you.
Before we get started talking about the fly line, I wanted to ask you what you do at RIO.
So I am the RIO R&D engineering manager. So my team works on a range of products at RIO, everything from new fly line tapers to new materials and colors. Basically everything that goes into making the best fly line on the market. So that's what we're responsible for, is bringing all those new products to market.
And when I got an email just a couple of weeks ago, I heard some buzz about this new SlickCast fly line, and some of the terms were revolutionary, greatest thing RIO's ever done. Can you give us sort of a high-level overview of why this is so important? People seem pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited about it too. It's actually an entirely new fly line coating technology that we've developed. And it leads to basically the slickest fly lines we've ever measured in our lab tests. And we've kind of confirmed those measurements through a lot of field testing as well. And then in addition to that, we get a much improved durability of the fly line coating. So both of those things kind of taken together, basically it makes a better fishing line and a line that lasts much longer.
What's it made of? Is this still a PVC line, or, you don't need to tell me all
Still,
the incredible secrets, but how is it different?
right, of course. So as you mentioned, there are some secrets we can't divulge, of course, but it is actually still a PVC-based fly line. So similar to previous RIO fly lines, but it's really the additive package that's different. So PVC coatings have a bunch of additives that go into them to maintain good properties for fishing. So everything from plasticizers, which make your fly line more flexible, to UV inhibitors, which prevent it from breaking down when exposed to UV. And then, of course, there's slickness additives as well. So there's chemicals that go into the coating that make the line smooth and kind of effort-free when you're shooting. And really, in this formulation, it's the slickness additives that have changed the most to give us those great new properties.
So slickness is important when you're casting and the fly line is shooting out through your guides. Does slickness help you in any other way in your fishing?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, the first thing most people do when they cast a new line or a new rod is, peel lots and lots of line off the reel and make a big hero cast. And of course, slickness is great when you're shooting line, and you do get a little bit more distance on a slick line than you would on a stickier fly line coating. But really the situation where I think the slickness helps the most is when you're feeding line into a drift. So for me, most of my trout fishing that I do here in eastern Idaho is with dry flies, and frequently that means kind of a down and across presentation. So as soon as my fly hits the water, I'm feeding line into that drift to maintain a nice drag-free drift. And that's something that's been greatly improved with this new SlickCast coating. It's something, having fished these lines, it'd be hard for me to go back, just because it does slip through the guides so much more easily and give you that better presentation.
How do you test? How do you test things like slickness and especially durability? I mean, this is a brand new fly line that just came out. Have you been testing it for years, or how do you simulate years when you're working in a lab?
That's a great question. So as you alluded to, there's two theories of how you test a fly line. One is in the lab and the other is on the water. And I would argue that they're both kind of equally important. So on the water testing, we work on these lines sort of progressively, and they go through a lot of different iterations and a lot of prototypes before they hit the market. One of the things we did with this line, our first prototypes, we sort of had them kind of in line about 18 months ago. So I've had a line on a reel for basically ever since that first prototype came out. In one iteration or another, we've been fishing these things hard and had them out on the water. And so far, the results have been really impressive just in the fishing side of things. In the lab, we've got a range of tests that are supposed to sort of accelerate line wear and simulate wear while you're fishing. For durability, one of the tests we run is the line is simply, we bend it and then unbend it. So, bending and straightening many thousands of cycles. And essentially we check it periodically. Every 5,000 cycles or so, we look at the line, we see if there's any cracks or any abrasion like that, and we note both of those. So basically, as soon as the line shows any signs of wear, whether that's cracking or abrasion, we note it as a failure, and we test it, relative to our own fly lines as well as the competition. And this new SlickCast coating is tested really better than anything that we've seen from the competition or kind of our old portfolio of products as well. So that's a really positive result.
Yeah, I'm excited to try it. Just one more thing before we close up here. Is this just for trout fishing, or how does SlickCast go across the range of lines, like warm water, salt water? SlickCast for everything, or this is just trout fishing?
So for this release, we've released it in basically our 4 best-selling trout tapers. So that's the Rio Grande, which is about a full-size heavy for faster action rods or bigger flies. Rio Gold, which is a classic, just all-around trout taper. The Perception, which I would say is kind of a little bit different, but equally good all-around trout taper. And then finally, the Technical Trout, which is your kind of long, fine front taper set up really specifically for dry fly fishing. So at least in this initial release, the SlickCast lines are mostly targeted to that trout market. But of course, we've got our eye on spreading it throughout the rest of the product line progressively in future releases as well.
Yeah, that slickness has got to help wherever you are. Well, thanks for giving us an overview of the new SlickCast line. Sounds exciting.